Hello, welcome to the Toolbelt. This is Michael. I thought I would do a little demonstration video since we recently went over the Wave Deformer and it makes this interesting ripple effect. I thought I would do like a simple water ripple tutorial and how you can get that effect and make it look, decent. So what I have here is my plane. I have a lot of geometry in here for the water ripple to look smooth. I have about 200 divisions in the width and height. And I have a little sphere that I've already animated between frame 1 and about 21, and it just drops down through the plane. So when I hit play, the sphere just drops like that. So I'm going to select the plane, go to Deform, Nonlinear, Wave, and in the Wave options I'll Edit, Reset Settings, hit Create. So now I have my Wave Deformer. So let's get the Wave Deformer started to receive the water droplet. So the water droplet hits the water, which is where the plane is, around frame 10. So frame 10, let's go into our inputs for the wave. I'm going to decrease the max radius down to be pretty small because we're starting small like this where the water hits, when the water drop hits the water. So I'll right click and key selected for my max radius, and then I will go to about frame, I don't know, 70 or so, be a few seconds, and increase my radius out to be about like this. Key selected. So my ripple effect will grow after the water droplet hits. It'll hit and then start growing from there. So at frame 9, this is right before the water droplet hits the plane. I'll right click on amplitude and key selected with the amplitude value at 0. So I'm going to change my wavelength to 0, or 0.1 I guess is as low as it can go. I'll right click and key selected for this at frame 9 is also. Then I'll go to frame 10, amplitude and wavelength. Let's see, let's increase our amplitude, not too much, negative 0.01. I'll key selected there. You can see as the max radius grows, the effect it gets. I want to increase my drop off to 1, which means that the outer rings are tapering down the effect, like so. So I don't have that bounciness that I was seeing before with the drop off at 0. With the drop off at 0, you can see the edges of the plane bounce up and down. We don't want that to happen. So I'll take my drop off all the way up to 1. So now the plane doesn't get bounced around by the effect. So we have this, let's hit play. So the ball drops, and then these ripples start forming and growing out. But we're not quite done yet. Let's go to frame, that's pretty quick after the ball hits. The water will essentially want to kind of bounce back. So around frame, I don't know, 15 or so, I'm going to take my amplitude. Instead of negative 0.01, I'll say positive 0.01. Like that, and key selected. So we get that kind of effect. I'm going to have this amplitude kind of bounce around. So around frame 25, I'll take it back to negative 0.01 like this. Yeah, I didn't make sure you key it after you make the change. Negative 0.01, selected and key selected. And then I'll have it bounce back to positive, key selected. I think I'll just leave it at positive at that point. So now let's play this. So we get that kind of effect. And we can adjust the timing of it later. So after the initial ripples start, you get that bounce effect in the middle, but eventually those ripples should no longer be in the middle of the scene. The ripples should kind of grow outward, and the middle should become flat again. So I'm going to say around this period of time, around frame 33 or so, I'm going to key the minimum radius at 0, key selected. Then as the rings grow out, I'm going to have the minimum radius also grow out like this. So around 0.6 or so at frame 70, key selected. So now we get this kind of effect. Might be going too fast right now, but we'll adjust the timing of everything later, like I said. So play, and we get this so far. So another thing I'd like to do is I'm going to, pretty early on, key the offset. Because right now the ripples don't really move, so I'm going to, around frame 10, let's select the offset, key selected, and then as it gets out to 70, I'll have the offset go to -1 perhaps. It might be too fast, we'll see. Yeah, way too fast. So instead of -1, let's like -0.25 or something for the offset. Or -0.2, I suppose. Key selected. And then we need the ripples to eventually go away. So after the initial droplet has the strongest effect, I'm going to have the envelope, which is the percentage of how strong the wave is, start to decrease as if the wave deformer is being turned off over time. So pretty early on, around here, so I'll key the envelope at 1, which is 100% value, and at the end, at frame 70, I want this to be at 0, which means the wave deformer is essentially turned off. So key selected. So now we have this diminishing effect as the ripples die off. So everything's moving a little too fast. The timing's not quite right. That inner radius is expanding a little too quickly. So what I'm going to do is go to Window, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. Here you can see I have all my keyed attributes. I look for the minimum radius here, press F to frame it. And the first keyframe for minimum radius is at frame 33 and goes to frame 70. So I'm going to change this 33, maybe it should actually start around frame 20 or so. Let's try that. That's a little better. And I think the amplitude bouncing back and forth happens a little bit too much. So I'm going to select the amplitude, frame it so you see it's bouncing up and down like this. I think I'm going to take out the second bounce. So I'll just delete those. So it's like this. And then as it gets to the end of the animation, the amplitude should probably go down to 0 because the effect is dying off. When key selected at 0. So it bounces and over time it dies off like this. Let's see how that looks. That's a little better. So the timing's not quite perfect yet, but I think you're kind of getting the idea of how you can key all these different settings to get this ripple effect. And we can continue to play with it. For example, I can select the minimum radius again, frame it, and instead of it being a straight linear path for the animation curve, I can instead make it start slow by adjusting this curve's path like this. So then the movement is slow and then kind of speeds up. Which might not be the right look, but you know, it's just something we can do. I might even have this effect start even sooner. But probably not much sooner than this. So little bit too drastic a speed change. Something more subtle like this might be better. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So yeah, I'll hide the deformer. We're going to show deformers. You can just kind of look at how it looks. So yeah, not perfect, but you know, for a simple little demonstration of how you can keyframe all these little settings for the Wave Deformer, you can get this kind of droplet effect. Anyway, hope you found that useful, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with the Wave Deformer. You can do some pretty crazy stuff with it, and I'll talk to you later.